All right. Hello, guys. Very good evening to everybody. So I welcome you all to the business development actioneering session. And I hope I'm audible to you all and that you can see the presentation. If not, please leave a message in the chat. So I'm going to move on with the session. Great. Yeah. So great. So I know that when it comes to business development, you might think that it's all about, cold calling, warm calling, and, company meetings and all that. Yes, it is. And well, that's not exactly the content I'm going to cover today. I'm going to take a new approach to business development. So you guys are going to have a wholesome idea after this session. So I'm going to first talk about some good characteristics that a business developer should possess. Not just when it comes to business development. This is very much important. Even whatever the function that you work in, it could be PD in IGV, it could be sales in IGT, or any other function, or it could be if you're doing an OCVP role of ER in any LC events, right? Or if you are doing PR. So it's like business development is seen in all of these areas. Okay. Great. So just a small disclaimer, I have referred to most of my slides are with reference to one of the YouTubers, very famous YouTubers who does a lot of content on business development called Patrick Dang. And I thank him for, for all these references that's there on YouTube. So if you guys are free, you guys can go and check his YouTube videos as well. So let's get started with the content, right? So what makes a good business developer? It's first of all, you guys know when it comes to business development, it's all about sales, right? You have to call companies, you have to contact companies and find the right company that to pitch your product or to pitch your service, to pitch your event, let's say LC event, or if you're doing a project in IGV maybe, right? So you guys can pitch these projects and you have to find the right prospect to do that, right? The right prospect, the right company, because you have to first, like I'm going to take certain examples out of the, the Colombo Central context. So if we look back to a couple of weeks ago, we did an LC event called Revolve UX, and you know that it was an IT related event, right? So what were the prospects? So if we are to, look for the companies all over again for Revolve UX, what are the companies that we are going to target, right? What are our prospects? It's obviously the IT market, right? So we before entering into any other market sector, first, the kind of companies that you want to contact in as prospects are the IT industry, right? So as business developers, you should be smart enough to address the right prospect, right? And also you're going to have very good communication and negotiation skills. When you like from the very first call to until, you do a company meeting, or even after, when it comes to making sure that the receivables and the deliverables are being met, you have to have proper communication skills. You have to be very confident in your skin, in your fluency in language, right? It could be any language. If you're, if you're familiar in Sinhala or English or Tamil, whatever the language that you use, you have to be confident in your language, in your language and in your pitching skills. And you have to negotiate a lot when it comes to these companies, right? When you are going to pitch your product to companies, when you're going to sell something to another, to your potential customer, you're going to have to, they might not, come to terms with your original offer. They might make counter offers, right? They might bargain, and things like that. So you have to make sure you're smart enough to be able to negotiate and, come to a fair deal, right? That is not unfair for you and also not unfair for your potential customer, right? Great. And then moving on to the right level of persuasive techniques. Now, this is a very important thing that that a business developer should possess, right? Now, when you go out there, when you're trying to pitch your projects, your LC events, your product, whatever, right? You have to be very persuasive. So you have to go out there, you have to attract everybody's attention, because when it comes to a company, they get proposals from many other ISAC entities, many other, maybe other educational institutes, they get a lot of proposals like this. And so they are like, they're like, basically they have so many, they're piled up with proposals, but you have to be able to catch their attention, You have to be able to smart enough to persuade them and show them that you are the one out of all these people that they should partner up with, right? So you have to have these persuasive skills. So you have to tell them all the benefits, all the reasons why, the companies should partner up with you and not with anyone else. Okay, so this is how you're going to persuade your customers, your potential customers, to come on board with you. Great. So moving on to strong relationship builder. Now, what this means is I'm not talking about a short-term relationship. Now, let's say, for example, we usually have local committee events and we raise partners, and after we're done with the collecting the receivables and giving them the deliverables, and after we do the after movie and the impact report and all that, that's the end of the whole relationship between you and your partner. Well, that's not something good that we practice in ISAC. I have seen this a lot. That's not supposed to happen, because when it comes to, if you spend so much time, so much of your energy trying to get a partner on board, then it's your duty to keep these relationships for, longer than after the LC event. So, maybe how I can give you some tips as to how you can, keep contacting these partners. Yes, even though the event is over, you can keep contacting these people. Maybe it'll be useful for you in the future for another event, for another project, to pitch another product, or it could even be useful for you in your personal life, right? Like, let's say, for example, we are university students, we're going to pass out of the university someday and we're going to enter into the corporate world, and you'll need to maybe get a job in this company that you have raised a partner with. So what you do is now, if you haven't talked to this person after you raise them as the partner, then it's going to be quite awkward to call them and ask for like a small favor. A small help, right? So, but it wouldn't be if you kept constant contact with these people, right? So maybe I can give you some tips that I and the BD team follow. So what we do is we usually send them greetings, like seasonal greetings. So it could be Auradu, it could be Vesak, it could be, Christmas. You can like send them greetings and let them know that you remember them, right? And to try and refresh the relationship with your partner. Okay, and then you can also, maybe send them a text, like especially during these days, the pandemic situation, everybody's going through a tough time. Maybe ring them and call them and ask them how they're doing, right? How they're doing and how the business is going, right? It wouldn't hurt. Trust me, it's only going to take 2 to 3 minutes. And, they're going to be so impressed by you. And that is a good characteristic that a business developer should have, right? You should never forget your partners. You should keep contacting them, okay? And then the next is, obviously, you have to be very strategic, very innovative, and you have to use all these marketing techniques to try and catch their attention, right? Come up with new strategies, come up with new ideas to, strengthen the relationship with your partner, right? Come up with new ideas to get connected with your partners, right? So great. We'll move to the next part. Now, the reason why I want to address market research specifically is because now as the LCVP BD, I see that I'm involved with a lot of local committee events, and I see that when it comes to market researchers, our OCs, even when it comes to the BD team, sometimes we tend to lose track of what kind of companies that are the most suitable for us, right? Now, when it comes to, like a certain event, it's like what a market research does is it helps you focus on a certain industry, right? On a certain sector, other than, going after all the companies that's out there in the world, because it's going to take up a lot of your time, a lot of your effort, right? So that is the reason why we have to find this prospect, right? Prospect is very different to the companies. The word companies and the word prospect are very different. Companies could be any company out there, but prospect is a company that is a potential partner that has. I will tell you more information about prospect in the next slide. So the whole point of doing a market research is to find these prospects, to differentiate these prospects out of the companies that are out there, right, in the corporate world. Great. So moving on to how we're going to identify this prospect. Now, I've been talking about these prospects, but you might be wondering, how the hell are we going to find these prospects, right? So in order to do that, we can carry out an ideal customer profiling. Okay, so now how are we going to find out who these prospects are? You can first look into the industry, right? What kind of an industry are we, going to focus on? So let's take, for example, we are having Insight these days, right? So, and in Insight, we're mainly focusing on HR aspects, on marketing aspect, on technology. Now, that is a very diverse, sector, right? You can have you are like the OCVP ER, or like finding companies from these very different sectors. So it's very that we carry out an analysis on what exact field are you looking for, like the companies from which exact field, right? Which industry? Is it HR? Is it marketing? Is it is it manufacturing, right? Which sector are we going to look into exactly? Which is the most relevant, right? Cool. And then the next is the company size. Now, how this is important, this is not as important as the industry, but when it comes to a company size, usually the bigger the company, the more sales they generate, right? The richer they are, basically, right? So I'm talking about like if we compare like a company that is like a conglomerate that's like SoftLogic or Unilever, and you compare that with a startup, right? Obviously, these big end companies, they have much more money than the startups, right? So that is what I mean. Okay, so you depends on your event, depends on your project. If it's a small scale project, if you think that your targeted market, like even startups can, if your proposal has got smaller packages, then you can go out there and hunt for startups. They will definitely partner up with you if they can afford it, right? But if your packages are really big, and then you can't pitch these packages to the startups, right? Because they can't afford it, because they have other primary areas to focus on, like for example paying for their employees and things like that. So they just can't spend so much money on promotions. Right. So that is the reason you have to find first the scale of your project and then target the relevant company according to the size of the company. Right. And then, of course, the location. How this is important is well, let's say now we are based, ISEC CC is based in Colombo. So usually we try to approach companies around Colombo. It's much more effective compared to, us reaching out to companies like Candy. Personal experience, I have contacted, companies from other places like Candy, Goal, and blah, 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 right? But, they always say that, why don't you talk to the Colombo branch? Because our university is based in Colombo, right? So try to focus on companies that are around Colombo, but I'm not saying that you can't, focus on companies that are outside Colombo. You can do that, but, put your primary focus on the companies that are around you, right? Because they can get involved with you much better. They can engage with you much better that way. Right? Remember, always when it comes to partnerships, and when it comes to partnerships in ISAC, it's all about member engagement with the partner. We have to try as much as possible to connect our members with the partners, right? That's what they like. Okay. And then the sales, of course, pretty much what I said about company size. Depending on the sales, especially these days, with the corona pandemic, some companies are not doing very well, but some companies are doing amazingly well, even with the situation. So you have to find out companies on LinkedIn, follow companies' web pages, right? Follow follow different channels on YouTube. You have to stay updated, right? As an ISACer, one of the leadership qualities is the global citizen. You have to be updated on the economy, on the business world out there, right? This is not just useful for you as a business developer or as a PDA or as a PR person. No, this is very important for you even as a an ISACer, as a university student, right? So follow all these accounts on Instagram and get yourself updated and see which companies are doing really well and which companies are not doing so well, because you want to reach out to the people that have money to, pay for your product and, partner up with you basically. And then of course the reach. So this is not a very, I don't want to stress on this point much, but if it's a very famous company, then you're going to have a lot of visibility that way. Wow, this so Colombo Central partnered up with this company, and if it's a famous company, then you're going to have a lot of PR. Right? So why are we carrying out this ideal customer profile? Is we have to find out the pain point. Right? What I always stress when it comes to business development, the most important word, probably, in my experience, is this pain, or we can also call it the mutual grounds, the mutual objectives. So, when you're looking to all these companies from these industries and company size, location, blah, 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 you are looking for the pain of these companies. So you know what a pain is, right? So pain is the problem that these companies have. So what do you think, as a youth-run organization that promotes youth leadership, ISAC, how do you think ISAC can solve this pain of these companies? What do you think is the pain of this company that we can solve? Yes. Definitely. It's going to be the leaders that are going to be born out of ISAC and that are going to, pass out of the university and are going to go out there and are going to definitely enter the corporate world in the future. So it's the talent pool that they're after, right? If there's a reason why, a corporate company joins with ISAC, it's number one, the most primary aim of that company is to get access to the talent pool. Right? You guys know that ISAC is a very smart, they're very skilled, they're polished professionally and personally. So they like that. So that's the reason why we always say, try to increase the connection between the partners and our members, right? Because there's so much that we can gain from them and there's so much that they can gain from us. Okay. So that is the reason why you have to target these pain points. And of course, there are other pain points as well. Like, for example, if I take the same example, Revolve UX, right? What's the pain point that pain point of the technical companies that we can address through Revolve UX is a set of university students who are creative and who are techie and who are interested in UI UX designing. You guys know that it is it's a new topic that is discussed in Sri Lanka, right? So it's not a lot of people know about this. And of course, so the tech companies were interested in getting access to a bunch of people who are interested in the same field as they did, right? So what we did there was we came up with that addressed their pain point. So their mutual objective aligned with our mutual objective, right? That way you can make money, you can, create a lot of partners and, you can create partners and sustain these partners. And how are you going to reach out to these partners is you can do this in multiple ways. And I'm not going to discuss them in brief, in detail here. I will just briefly go through it, like cold calling, warm calling, cold emailing, and through LinkedIn on social media platforms. You guys can, when you're free, go to like YouTube, go to other, knowledge hubs and see how to do a cold call, how to do a warm call, how to, pitch your product to the customer and get them on board. Okay, great. Now I'm going to move on to the strategies and the innovation, how this is going to be helpful in BD. Okay, so in this number one skill that you should possess is creativity. Right? So inside this creativity, you have strategizing ability, your innovative ideas, right? So you have to be creative. You have to come up with different events, different products that are sellable, which you can sell to your potential customers, get them on board and increase this, partner member engagement and of course, we also need to be financially sustainable as a not-for-profit organization. So for that, we need partners. Usually partners come on board, especially knowledge partners, and they give knowledge to our members. They teach them, they carry out workshops and all that. So that is the reason why we need partners. So you have to, as a BDer, as a PDer, you have to be creative. As an PR person, you have to be creative and create these opportunities that you can sell to your partner, get them on board and interact with them. Okay, great. And skill number 2 is listening. Now, a good business developer does not, yes, I know sales is all about pitching. It's all about talking. Basically, we make living in ISAC out of talking, right? PDs know this. But then the most important point is not talking, it's listening to your prospect. First of all, when you go to a meeting, you have to listen to them. You have to try and get your prospect to talk. And this is a trick that you can use in business development rather than, going head on and start pitching your product. Get them to talk first. Get your potential customer to talk. Tell you what their requirements are. What is their pain, right? What's their pain? What are they expecting from us? What's their requirement? What are they going through these days? What's their problem? And then you can articulate your pitch according to whatever the facts that you gathered out of listening to whatever the requirements that they just said. You can articulate your pitch, and then you can do the pitch that you hit that that trigger point where the partners will know, wow, I6CC just gave us the next brilliant idea. They can solve our problem. We should totally get on board with them. Okay, so that's the power of listening. By listening, you can get to know their problem, get to know their pain points, and you can articulate your pitch around it to try and target that pain. So you can solve that pain, you can relieve that pain for your partners, and there is no way that they're going to propose or your offer. Okay, the next skill is perhaps the most important one, right? Okay, all these skills are very important, but skill 3 is a must-have when it comes to BD, when it comes to PD, ER, PR, right? Is you've got to have grit. All right, a lot of rejections. There's going to be a lot of negotiations that's going to happen. And yes, BD, PD can be very frustrating sometimes, because when you make 10 calls, out of those 10 calls, 6 will straight reject your proposal. So if you are a person who is, very emotional, and I'm not saying that you don't have to be emotional, you can't be, you cannot be emotional in this area, but you have to be smart. You have to be able to, move on really quickly. Just because you got a rejection from one company, you can't dwell on that. As a business developer, you have to be strong, right? You have to have the grit to, keep moving, because this is a constant game for us. We can't dwell on that one company that rejected us. Fine, because we have thousands of companies out there that we can contact. Just because one rejected you does not mean you're not going to, every other company is going to reject you, right? So this is what I always tell my BD team, whoever that I work with in BD, you've got to have grit. You've got to, stay strong and move on. Okay, great. Now, I'm going to move on with the BD approach. Now, I'm arriving at the last bit of information, but I'm pretty sure I can assure you all of this is going to come handy, not just when it comes to, ER, BD, but even in real life when it comes to dealing with, stakeholders, when it comes to dealing with an external person. Right now, how do we communicate with customers? Right now, there are 7 principles that we, according to Patrick Dan, that is a person that I've been referring to all this time, who I got the content from. Now he says that you have to keep your pipeline filled with prospects. Right? What does that mean? Now, let's say as BDers, as ERVPs, we have 10 companies in our, let's say 5 companies in our market research. Okay. And when after this 5, that's all you have in your market research. After this 5, because now you can call these 5 companies in one day and finish it off. And let's say none of them accepted your offer, and you have no other company in your list to contact. Right? But what if the other person has 9 while calling these 5 companies, they work on another 4. They try to find another 4 companies. So after these 5 companies are done, they can move to the next 4. And while they work on this next 4, maybe they can, find more companies. So once that 4 is done, they can quickly move on to the next company. So that is what I mean by keeping your pipeline filled, right? Always keep your market do research. Just because you have like one market research, let's say someone asked you, the OCP, or even I ask you guys to come up with a market research of 50 companies, right? That doesn't end there. While, you finish up 10, you have to add another 10 to your, the market research. So that's what I mean by keeping your pipeline filled, so that once the 50 is gone, you still have more companies to contact, to keep on going. That is what I meant by having grit, right? You have to keep moving forward, okay? There's no time in BD for you to sit and hesitate and frustrate and demotivate like yourself. Yes, you can do that, but then you have to be emotionally strong and intelligent to be able to move on, okay? And leverage your warm introductions. Now, this is a very important part. I know we might not know, we might sometimes find fellow ISECers who have dealt with previously dealt with a prospective company, right? Maybe they have raised them previously for another event. So what you can do is you can get this friend to try and introduce you to this company representative, right? That way, that person has an introduction to you through another ISECer, right? So before you call them, it wouldn't be a total cold call because someone else has recommended you to that person. Please help this person out. We are from the same organization. And this is we did this event, and you guys were impressed with our deliverables. You guys were impressed with our event, and we're doing a similar event, and this person will be contacting you. Please help them out, right? So if you can leverage all those warm contacts. You can try and maybe you can use personal contact numbers. You can get contact numbers from other fellow ISECers. You can try to get contact numbers from your parents, from your other university friends. Try and leverage these warm introductions, right? Try to find someone there and blindly looking for general telephone numbers. Try to talk to someone else and see, have you got a connection with this company? Could you please introduce me to that person, right? Because it works wonders. Trust me, it does. But of course, if you have no other choice, then go out there and you're going to have to get yourself through the cold calling process. But that's business development again, right? So this is just a trick. Okay, cool. Connect with the decision makers. Now, I know when it comes to, these general lines, you always end up first with the receptionist. And, you're going to have to be transferred from receptionist to maybe the marketing team, and then maybe an intern, and then you'll be then they'll say that they'll direct the proposal to the marketing head, and then from the marketing head they'll say that they need more time to pass it over to the CEO. Why? Because the decision makers are whoever that's going to be from director level and above, right? The directors, the managers, the CEOs. It's not going to be the receptionist. It's not going to be the business development intern. It's not going to be, someone who's in the, you have to always try and reach out to the decision makers. Now, a very easy platform that you guys can use for this is LinkedIn. So in LinkedIn, you can straight go and find out the decision makers rather than, wasting your time trying to call the receptionist, trying to call whoever in the marketing team or the BD team or the HR finance team, rather than, talking to those people and, spending your time trying to get your proposal up through the ladder to a decision maker. You can straight away contact a decision maker. You can contact the manager, the branding manager, or even the CEO. Sometimes you can find all these people on LinkedIn. You can even get their numbers. You can connect with them on LinkedIn and quickly send them the proposal, because that way, that the proposal has gone to the decision maker who's going to make the final call, whether we should partner up with this person or not. It's going to save up a lot of time for you guys. Okay. The next is identify the pains and mutual grounds in your market, which I have talked about before. So I'm not going to go there again. And also listen. Listening is the most important thing that you can do as a BDer, as a PDer. I've already described about this as well, so I'm not going to talk about it again. The next thing is control the sales cycle. Now, this could be different, like in different contexts, but I will talk to you guys in ISAC context. So you guys know that the BD cycle, most of you guys know, the BD cycle is the first stage is prospect. Then that is a company that you're going to call for the very first time. You don't know if they're going to be exactly your customer, right? And then, of course, if they confirm, right, maybe they'll say, okay, fine, we'd like to partner up with you. Then it becomes a lead, right? And then, of course, we're going to move on to the next stage, which is like, let's say after like a company meeting or after further discussions, they say, okay, fine, we'd like to come on board. And then you guys sign MOUs, you guys sign contracts, right? And then they officially become your customer. And afterwards in ISAC CRM, we have another stage after customer stage expires, which is the promoter, right? So I'm not going to take you guys through all of these stages, but I will tell you guys what happens in these stages, what you should do with your partners, right? Now, of course, the partners do not know that ISAC, as we have a CRM, that we have these stages exactly. The partners don't know that. So it's pointless telling them that, we're going to move on to the lead stage now and blah, 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 right? So what you have to do is you have to take the partners through these stages by like keeping it very simple. You have to try and get things done according to your needs, right? Okay, in order to move to the lead stage, you have to get an email confirmation from them. So try and persuade them to send you an email confirmation as soon as possible. So, you can move your partner, you can control your partner according to the way you want, right? By keeping it simple. So you have to know your sales cycle, right? Okay, what's my next target? And then after coming to the lead stage, what's my next target? Is to sign an MOU, then quickly get your work. You have to quickly move on, right? This is why I said you have to move on like really quickly from stage to stage, from company to company, because it's like, they say BD is like how much you work, how many companies you contact. That is where the success rate depends on, right? Then the last point is over deliver on what you promise. Okay, so never ever under deliver. It's either deliver exactly what you have promised them or over deliver because you want to blow your partner's minds, right? You want to impress them so that they will, the point that I talked to you guys about before. They will actually want to have a long-term relationship with you. They will come and partner up with us maybe for another event in the future. They will want to know more about our entity. They will want to come and engage with our members. That's exactly what we want to do, right? That's exactly the meaning of sustainability, is that the partners not just partner up with us for this event, but also is there with us with ISAC for the rest of the term, the rest of the for the coming years as well, right? And you can you have impressed them so much that they might even offer you a job or an internship, right? Things like that happen. These things are very possible things. Okay, so that is a reason why you should never under-deliver, because if you under-deliver, two things could happen. They will never partner up with you again, and they're going to spread all the bad news about ISAC. With outsiders, that, when the companies also talk with, among themselves, and other companies, once they get to know, they will also not partner up with you. This is something that has happened before, right? In some events. So word of mouth is the strongest, they say, right? So, and then also they could either, you're going to have to, so they will never basically partner up with you again. And that's bad. Okay. So we have to make sure that our partner, is sustainable, that they will stay with us for a long time. So you have to always impress them. Okay, great. So the last bit, I keep saying the last bit, but yes, I just want to take you guys through some ethics, some BD ethics. Because now these things we should, have within ourselves is the integrity, right? So integrity is being honest and straightforward. When you talk to your partners, don't ever lie to them, right? Don't ever lie to them about the benefits you can give them. Don't ever lie to them about the deliverables that you cannot give them, right? Don't promise them things that you can't, give them, like things that you can't fulfill, right? So be honest, and you have to be straightforward, right? Then the other party will like you because, wow, they do exactly what they say, right? This is also another way to impress someone. Okay, so honesty, straightforwardness and truth always works wonders. Okay, so just have these things in your mind when you deal with external stakeholders, because they're going to judge you, and you're not just representing yourself but the entire ISAC, right? Entirety of ISAC as an entity. You're going to represent all the other ISACs as well, and the ISACs to come in the future, right? So you have to be honest, you have to be straightforward, you have to tell them only what you can deliver. All right, you have to talk only what you can give them. The next thing is the professionalism. Okay, the professionalism is the key thing in BD. Is you have to be number one, punctual. Okay, when you arrange a meeting with a company, be there on time. When you're supposed to even make a call, if you're being there on time, you are, it becomes a principle in your life. It becomes a value in your life, right? You're there anywhere on time. Your presence matter in BD, right? Not just in BD, even in in your life outside of ISAC. If you follow these points within ISAC, this will come in handy, right? It will be like your nature. Okay, it will come in your it will be, you'll be so used to it, right? Be punctual even when it comes to a cold call, a warm call. If you promise that person that you'll be there at that time, be there at that time. Okay, and then being polite. I know there's going to be a lot of rejections. The corporate people will drive you mad sometimes. They will make absurd bargains. They'll make absurd counter offers. They'll literally make your blood boil. But you cannot afford to lose your temper, and you have to be absolutely polite to them. Okay, and this is the the attitude that you should have as a BDA. Okay, this is the composition that you have as a BDA. Right, you should never lose your temper. You should compose yourself. Always stay strong. You have to stay really strong, right, mentally. Okay, then responsiveness and responsibility. This is like the golden rules I get everyone to follow, and in the BD team and with whoever that I work with. Now, when it comes to responsiveness and responsibility, if you guys follow these two aspects, you have already won the BD game, right? If you promise the company that you're going to get back to them with certain bit of information, you have to be responsible, and you have to respond to them as soon as possible. You have to let people know that you acknowledge things, that you are aware of things. You're not ignorant. You are not like out there somewhere in the world. You're not like, you are present at that moment, right? And you have to be very responsible. If you have promised your partner something, you have to deliver it to them. Okay, great. The next thing is know your product. What I always tell my BDers and my ERBPs is, don't even start pitching if you haven't gone through the proposal, if you don't know what your product is from A to Z. Let's say, for example, in a call or in a meeting, they ask you a question and you have no idea how to answer that question because you haven't gone through the proposal. They ask you the number of delegates that you guys are expecting, and you have no idea because you haven't gone through the proposal, you haven't talked with the rest of your OC, or you really don't know, you're clueless. And it's going to be so embarrassing, right? Because you didn't know something that was like really vital, that you were supposed to know before you go into that meeting. So if you don't know about your product, if you don't know about your event or your service, whatever, then don't take that call at all, right? So go through your product, know inside out of it, okay? And the next thing is empathize. Because I know we're going to get money from your partner, and it's very materialized, it's a very materialized concept. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with human beings, right? They're also people. They also have bad days. They also have, feelings. They also are very busy people, okay? So you have to treat them like human beings. Okay, you have to first, when you take a call, don't start pitching, as soon as you take a call. Okay, I'm calling from this organization and I want to discuss with you like this about this proposal. Talk to them and ask them if they have time to talk. And if it's all, you can say, hi, I'm this person. I called you a couple of days ago. How are you doing? right? How is your business doing these days? And then, move on with the rest of the conversation. Be empathetic. When they want to negotiate certain things, don't go and say, no, 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 these are the deliverables, and if you can't give this to us, then we're not going to partner up with you. Empathize, because they might be going through some tough time as well. Okay, so they might also have certain things, certain concerns they want to voice, right? Certain things that they want to negotiate with us. So empathize, right? Try to get on the good side. Try to be try to stand out among the rest of the crowd, so that the partners will catch. Like they will catch you out of the rest of the the people who are trying to pitch their own products.